Hello and welcome to Herald TV News Bulletin with me, Conal Rosario. There was a huge sea of supporters who turned out outside the JMFC court in Margao to support 4 activists of Goyan Kolsonaka who were summoned on Saturday. The case pertains to the 2022 Chandor Rail Roko protest. The police force tried to stop the people from gathering outside the court. This led to heated arguments between the people and the police. The hearing has been postponed to 15th of June 2022 when the charges will be explained to the activists. The activists have been charged under Section 146, obstructing railway servant in his duties, 147, trespass and refusal to desist from trespass, and 174A, obstructing running of train by squatting or picketing or during rail roko agitation or band.
A huge sea of supporters turned up outside the JMFC court in Margao to support 4 activists of Goyan Kolsonaka. The hearing has been postponed to 15 June 2022 for explaining charges. The case has been filed against the activists by Railway Police. Accused Abhijit Prabhudesai said people's power is greater than people in power. Advocate Stanley Rodriguez, who appeared for the Goyan Kolsonaka activists, said that only 4 of the protesters were targeted, even as they were fighting for Goa. He observed that the big fish, politicians who were present at the site, were not targeted. It may be recalled that on the night of November 1st, thousands of people gathered at the railway track in Chandor, South Goa, to protest the South Western Railway's double tracking project.
सगळ्यांचे भुरग्यां खातीर आमी करतात आनी ह्या वावरांत आमी जाणात की सगळो दर एक गोंयकार आमचे बरोबर आसात आनी आमी जिखतलेच हे आमकां 100% खात्री आसा कित्याक पिपल्स पावर इज ग्रेटर देन द पीपल इन पावर लोक जिखतले हे 100% आमकां खात्री आसा आनी आमी असले कसले कोर्टाक आनी कायद्याचो दुरुपयोग जो जाता ताका आमी मातशें सुद्दां भिनात गोंयकार एकलो सुद्दां असले बारीक केसीक भिनात कित्याक आमी जो वावर करतात फक्त आमच्या भुरग्यां खातीर आनी गोंयचे खातीर करतात आनी आमी सदां जिखतले 100% खात्री आसा
The law is equal for everyone. As reported by all, there were thousands of people at that protest. However, only 5 have been made accused. Among those thousands were prominent politicians. The leader of opposition himself was there. An ex-deputy chief minister was there. MLAs from 2 or 3 other constituencies were there. Activists, political activists who were there, who are now MLAs. However, none of these guys have been charged. This is selective targeting of my clients who happen to be environmental warriors for the last 15-20 years. There is not an environmental battle that is fought in Goa which is not led or somehow these people are playing a role in.
With गोंयकार्स तांकां 4 जाणांक आपयल्ले बट ते 4 जाण न्ही ताणें गोंयकारांक आपयल्ले. This particular summons are not for 4 activists. It is summons for Goans. And whatever happens आमी सगळे एक रावतले. Because this fight is for Goa. Jhelin Gal, Mara Kide, we are ready.
We are here to in the solidarity of these 4 people. They have been falsely accused, I say. And हे जावपाची पडना कित्याक any protest is a democratic right of the people. So you cannot stop anybody from protesting.
आमी कोणाचेय केस घालता विंडिक्टीव जाता हो जो प्रोजेक्ट पळय आसा आमी सरकाराक परत सांगतात की कोणाक फायदो आसा हे गोंयच्या लोकांचे फायद्याक आसा नाल्यार गोंयचे सरकाराक फायद्याक आसा नाल्यार कोणाक फायद्याक आसा ते आमी सांगचें म्हणून.
Aditya Bidre for Herald TV.
Why have been 4 activists summoned by the JMFC court in Margao on Saturday? On the night of November 1st, thousands of people gathered at the railway track in Chandor, South Goa to protest the South Western Railway's double tracking project, reportedly being carried out to transport coal from the state to steel plants in North Karnataka. Demonstrators alleged that the project would make Goa a coal transportation hub, posing a threat to livelihoods and the state's ecological diversity. all while favouring big coal companies.
Protesters camped all night at the railway tracks at Chandar. Protesters handed a memorandum to the deputy collector at the protest site demanding that the order permitting the expansion work to be withdrawn. South Goa Collector Ajit Roy gave the order to temporarily close level crossing roads for 5 hours from midnight to 5 am on 3 days at 3 locations to permit the developer Rail Vikas Nigam Limited to cut roads in order to lay the double tracks. The railway did not have all the permissions required to carry on the work, especially from the Panchayat. The Union Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change's guidelines stipulate that for linear projects, the construction work should not begin until all permissions have been granted. On November 27, 2020, two of the several anti-coal protesters who had been booked by Maina Kurtorim police were issued notices to appear before the investigating officer at the Maina Kurtorim police station on Friday for interrogation. Maina Kurtorim police had charged the protesters for forming unlawful assembly and rioting during the midnight protests held at the Chandar railway crossing during the night of November 1st and 2nd. On April 12, 2022, four of the protesters from Goyang Kolsa Naka, Abhijit Prabhudesai, Dinah Tavares, Freddie Travaso, and Vikas Bhagat were issued summons.
Bureau Report for Herald TV.
This Sunday, Christians all over the world celebrate the biggest feast of their calendar, Easter. It is seen as the climax of the life of Jesus, who preached the word of God, was falsely condemned, crucified, and on the third day rose from the dead. Many believe if Jesus had not risen, there would be no Christianity. In his Easter message, the Archbishop of Goa and Daman, Philip Neri Ferrao, said Easter invites us to work together for peace and overcome divisive forces that seem to be active even in our own state. May Easter inspire us to live as responsible citizens in our country and state, working towards genuine human development and integral sustainable advancement.
Christians all over the world celebrate the biggest feast of their calendar, Easter. Easter invites us to work together for peace and overcome divisive forces in the state, Archbishop Philip Neri Ferrao said. Archbishop Ferrao urges to work towards genuine human development in his Easter message.
Easter is the most important feast in the Christian calendar worldwide. It celebrates Jesus Christ's victory over suffering, death, and sin. It is a celebration of joy, of freedom from the slavery of sin, and of hope for a new life. Easter invites us to make this joy infectious by extending our hands to all the people of goodwill and working together for peace, harmony, and mutual respect among men and women of different social, cultural, and religious traditions, and by overcoming divisive forces that seem to be active even in our own state. May Easter inspire us to live as responsible citizens in our country and state, working towards genuine human development and integral, sustainable advancement. Happy Easter to one and all.
The Kasarwan villagers, especially farmers, are battling against the Water Resources Department pump house project, which is undertaken on the riverbank of Bailpur in Kasarwan. The estimated cost of the project is 6 crore. Villagers, especially farmers from this locality, are having a tough time to stop the work which is being carried out without obtaining permissions from the local panchayat. Part of this water will be pumped to Mopa Airport, Chandel and Tuen. Meanwhile, the villagers have appealed to the people all over Perne to extend their support and remain present at the Perne police station on Monday, 19th of April at 11 am.
Villagers informed that through this pump house, Water Resources Department will pump water and further release it in the Tilari Canal. According to sources, out of the total water pumped, 5 MLD will go to Mopa Airport, 15 MLD will be taken to Chandel Water Treatment Plant, while 30 MLD will go for the Tuyen Treatment Plant. Kasarwani villages, especially farmers, are battling against the pump house project. The work continues despite stop work notice from Kasarwani Panchayat. Villages are facing severe water shortage. The villagers say water will be diverted to casinos and Mopa Airport. Water from Bailpur will be pumped to the Mopa Airport, Chandel and Tue. People all over Pedne to extend their support to oppose the project. People decided to gather at Pedne police station on Monday, April the 19th.
हो प्रोजेक्ट बेस्ट विनाकारण हे आमचे जनतेचे पैसे वेस्ट करता आज 27 कोटी हे कित्या खातीर हे आमकां तरी उदक ते न्हय हे आयज ते खंयचे कॅशून येतले आनी कितें येतले तेंची तयारी करता हे हांकां आमच्या लोकांचे पडलेले ना हे लोकांक आमकां कवर करपाक उठलेले आहा हे प्रोजेक्ट घेवप हे पेडण्यात आमचे प्रोजेक्ट घेवप आयज आयुष हॉस्पिटल आहा कॅशिनो जाता कॅशिनोक म्हणटा तो 4 लाख लोक कामगार आसतले तांकां ते शिवाय जे मोपा एअरपोर्ट आहा मोपा एअरपोर्टाक म्हणटा तो 60,000 लाख लिटर उदक दिसाक जाय म्हणटा ते मागीर हे उदक आमचे हांगाले जर ते वयर चडयले जाल्यार आमच्या लोकलांक अक्षरशः ते कवर करतले जमनी पासून जर आमकां कवर केल्ले आहात आतां उदका पासून सुद्दां ते कवर करतले तेका लागून अख्ख्या पेडणेकारांक म्हाजी कळकळीची विनंती आहा सोमारा दीस 11 सुमार 18 तारीख सगळे पेडणे येवपाचे आनी आयज आमचे थंय तेन्ना उलोवप जातले तेन्ना जून जे कोणी जाणकार आहात कितें आहात ते तेचेर विचार करा आणि हे आमचे पंप हावजाचे जे हांगाल्ले जे बंधाऱ्याचे उदक जे कॅनला व्हरूंक सोदता ते वाचयात
की काळजी कित्याक तर आयज पेडणेकारांनी आनी गोंयकारांनी जागे जावपाचे इतकी विनंती करता की हे जे आमचे न्हंय आहात ते वाटोवपा खातीर सगळ्या पेडणेकारांनी जनतेन जागृत जावपाचे फुडल्या फुडाराक आमच्या भुरग्यांक जे पाणी गरज पडटली तेन्ना पाणयाचो सांठो नासतलो आनी तेन्ना इतकी दुश्काळ पडटलो पाणया खातीर तेन्ना आमचे भुरगे थंय पाणी मागतले इतके आनी हे लोकांच्या घशात जे पाणी घालतले आनी ते पाणी जे लोक घाण वयली सोडटली ते आमचे न्हंय देतले फाल्यां जितके वयर पाणी सोडटले तितकीच घाण आमचे न्हंय देतली त्या माफियांची तेन्ना ते घाणीचे पाणी हे लोकांक खावचे पडटले ती जागृत जावपाचे लोकांनी आनी ही आमची न्हंय वाटावपाची हे पाणी वाटावपाची इतकीच सगळ्या विनंती आहा थँक्यू
Ashmita Polji for Herald TV.
The delegation of industrialists has demanded the regular and reliable power supply and suggested that the government purchase additional power for an extra price, which the industry has said they will pay for if the government can't bear the burden. They met the Power Minister Ramkrishna Sudin Davlikar regarding frequent power cuts for almost a month now, which have been faced by various industries. Various industries have received statements with load restrictions, they said.
The industry delegation speaks out on issues faced by them due to frequent power cuts. Industry asked Power Minister Sudin Davlikar to purchase additional power and offered to pay extra for it. Davlikar said he will study the details and instructed the CEE and the Power Secretary to find out the impact and cost of additional power. Power Minister Sudin Davlikar assured the industry delegation that he will study the details and has instructed the Chief Electrical Engineer and Power Secretary to find out the impact and cost of additional power. To discuss this matter, a meeting has been called out on April 18th.
It was limited only up to the Verna industrial estate, but unfortunately now it has been entire industry in Goa is getting affected because they have recently released a statement and pattern in which how the load restrictions are to be put on all the industrial estates, and basically what they are saying is whatever is a power shortage in Goa, that is about 120 to 150 megahertz, entire power that thing has to be borne up by industry. That means they are asking us to put up our factory. So I don't understand the logic of this government behind closing the industry. If government cannot support industry, then we are saying that we will share whatever the additional burden of the power purchase. on our behalf you purchase the power, and then we will for that amount we will pay. So what we have proposed is, if you don't want to touch the domestic customer, at least all commercial establishments including industry, this additional power purchase, whatever cost increases, to be borne by all these people, so that totally it will not come more than, in my opinion, what we have suggested, that up to 1 rupee we will bear for, maybe if you are saying 20 days or 1 month or 1.5 month, whatever period, we will try to bail out the government, but at the same time we expect government also contribute something. He had earlier given a statement that there is no issue of the power, so we were also surprised. So we went and explained him what is the pain that we are going through, how industry is getting affected. So he said, we will work out some solution. So work out means, we also suggested that if government, see, this actually government can purchase the additional power from the open grid. Only thing is that they have to pay little extra, because all other states are also buying, but we have a restriction on a government buying procedure, that up to 6 they can go, because they are selling at the same rate to us and it becomes balanced. Now this additional cost, if they are saying that it will be for 20 days or 1 month, approximately, in my opinion, it will come to about 40 crore additional cost. Now, if government can afford to give this concept populistic schemes like free, LPG to all their people, 1,500 scheme, against that you can set off, no?
Kiran Borkar for Herald TV.
The National Students Union of India (NSUI) has flayed Goa University for the fall in its NAAC grading from A to a B++. The NUSI has pointed out that even under National Institute ranking framework, the Goa University rank has fallen from 20 to 96 in 2021. The NSUI President Araj Mullah has, even after NAAC recommendations, the faculty positions have not been filled and the Directorate of Higher Education has not constituted the State Quality Assurance Cell, and questioned why the Chief Minister is silent on this.
NSUI flays Goa University for fall in its NAAC grading from A to B++. Under National Institute ranking framework, Goa University's rank has fallen from 20 to 96 in 2021. NSUI questions why vacant positions were not filled and why State Quality Assurance Cell was not constituted.
But from 2019 to 22, university didn't apply for assessment because 2019 and more than 50% posts were vacant. So due to this, तांचो grade सकयल येतलो म्हणून तांच्यांनी NEC councilak invite करूंक नासले for assessment. But after 3 years, still the posts are vacant. Still teaching and non-teaching staff, तांचे पोस्ट आहा ते वेकंट आहा. NEC रिपोर्ट सांगता, अजून पर्यंत NEC रिकमेंड करता गोवा गव्हर्मेंटाक, डायरेक्टर ऑफ हायर एड्युकेशनाक, की तुम्ही बेगीचे बेगीन हे पोस्ट फिल करात म्हणून, पण अजून फिल करना. सेकंड पॉईंट जे म्हणटा, द स्टेट थ्रू डायरेक्टर ऑफ हायर एड्युकेशन should establish state quality assurance cell that could act as think tank to the Goa University and guide internal quality assurance cell in Goa University to motivate and handhold institution towards accreditation. हेजे म्हणणे कितें तुमकां सांगता हांव. As per UGC, it is mandatory that every university should have internal quality assurance cell. Internal assurance quality cell is meant for planning, guiding and monitoring quality assurance and quality enhancement activities of the colleges.
Forest Minister Vishwajit Rani has once again reiterated that there is no proposal before the state to declare any part as a tiger reserve. Goa is a small state to have a tiger reserve, and tiger reserves are meant for larger states, Vishwajit has said. He claimed expertise from Wildlife Institute of India, Dehradun, has been sought to prepare a roadmap for management of wildlife sanctuaries and to promote them on ecotourism front. He also said that he will have a dedicated telephone line and an email where people can upload picture and audio of corruption.
Goa Forest Minister Vishwajit Rani retaliated that there is no proposal before the state to declare any part as a tiger reserve. Goa is too small a state to have a tiger reserve, which are meant for larger states, said Rani. Vishwajit has said his decision stands firm and won't be changed. Rani plans to promote ecotourism for wildlife sanctuaries.
What I'm trying to say is Goa is too small for a tiger reserve because it doesn't have here tigers in the state of Goa. We generally find them through the tiger traps, the traps that are put for movement of animals in the wildlife sanctuary. I have a vision for the forest department. We need to build up ecotourism. And many times I see people take one statement and they try to turn it around, twist it around without even understanding. A lot of these people who make these statements, you must actually go back and see their overall contribution to the state of Goa. It's very difficult to put things to an end. आमच्या 70च्या लोकांक खबर आसा की आमच्या चरावण्याच्या धरणाची किती परिस्थिती जाल्ली. We had put up a mini reservoir, mini dam in Saravana village. Today the people there are suffering because of not availability of water. And some people raise the issue at that point of time. As a forest minister, it's my duty to take it up to the state wildlife board and national wildlife board and get it cleared. Ultimately, water is not only water, but it's not only for drinking purpose, it's also for agriculture. And it's also for maintaining the forest in that particular area. If we are able to create a water bodies, automatically it has a direct impact on the health of the forest. We have to also understand, and we have various sanctuaries like the Mahavi, Potigaon. We are trying to talk to our forest officials. We have got good officers in Santosh Kumar and Mr. Gupta. And several other things, and I'm also trying to get a former field director who has been working in Bandhavgarh and several other parts of Madhya Pradesh to help us in forest management and forest planning, so that we are having all these Mahavi parks and other places. My job as a forest minister is to do something good for the state of Goa, and in a very professional manner. If somebody thinks that I'm going to get disheartened or I'm going to move aside from my existing agenda, no, I'm not. And definitely I do not feel that Tiger Reserve is meant for the state of Goa. Tiger Reserve is something meant for larger states because there are other complexities involved with this, and there is no proposal as of now on my table or in the state of Goa to create any kind of Tiger Reserve. I am very firm. I am a minister who believes in certain things. I stand by the decisions I take, and I do not change anything that I say. Just because somebody criticizes me and tells me that the animal is not bound by boundaries, I am also educated enough to understand that the animal is not bound by boundaries. But definitely there is something called a definition called a wildlife or a tiger corridor, which I have been experiencing and seeing. Ranthambore was built based on and road infrastructure was built there based on the wild tiger corridor.
Clinton D'Souza for Herald TV.
Trade unionist Puti Gaunkar has said that before sorting out the tiger reserve issue, the issue of people's land rights in these areas have to be sorted out. First decide the people's land rights issue and then decide the tiger reserve, he said. Puti pointed out that in 2003, when the wildlife sanctuaries were created, it was Vishwajit Rani who had challenged the notification. Today he is the Health and Forest Minister. He should first sort out the land issue of the people and then decide on the tiger reserve, Puti has said.
First sort out the issue of land rights before tiger reserves, says trade unionist Puti Gaunkar. People are without ownership rights and documents and without jobs. Health Minister should first decide on land rights of the people, he added.
एक स्टेटमेंट केला की टायगर्स गोंयांत ना ते भायले सांगता तुमचे हेजेर कितें आहा मागीर
म्हाजें पयलीं म्हणणें थंय दोनूय वायल्ड लायफीन हांवें एज्युकेशन सुरू केल्लें की थंयची जी लोक वस्ती आसा आनी जे थंयचे जे जमिनाचे हक्क आसा ते पयलीं लोकांक हें करात आनी मागीर ती जाल्या नंतर तुमकां कितें करपाचें तें करात. आज थंय परिस्थिती जी आसा की आमचे लोक थंय सद्या तेंच्या कडेन जमनी नांवार ना, प्रॉपर्टी रायट्स कसलेच ना, जमनीचे हक्क कसलेच ना, जे थंय कितें उत्पन्न आहा तेजेर जगतात. आज नोकऱ्यो ना तांकां कोणाक. आनी आज हे फक्त ह्याच विश्वजीत राणे आसा. स्टेटमेंट 2003 जेन्ना हे वायल्ड लायफाचो इश्यू हांवें रेज केल्लो त्या वेळार त्यांनी एक रीट पेटिशन हायकोर्टाक फायल केल्लें चॅलेंज द नोटिफिकेशन ऑफ द गव्हर्नरान जें केल्लें तें चॅलेंज केल्लें. आज हो हेल्थ मिनिस्टर आनी थंयचोच मिनिस्टर असल्या कारणान आमदार थंयचो असल्या कारणान ताणें जर पयलीं जर कितें करपाक जाय जाल्यार ज्यो जमनी लोकांच्यो त्या वायल्ड लायफान पडलेल्यो आसात, ज्यो हांवें नेतळच्या वायफायन भायर काडला तश्यो भायर पयलीं जमनी काडच्यो आनी मागीर व्याघ्र करता का व्याघ्र करता का रिजर्व फॉरेस्ट करता किंवा वायल्ड लायफ करता ते करचें ना.
टायगरांचे तुमचे कितें?
टायगरांचें म्हजें म्हणणें आसा की जो पर्यंत हो विशय सॉर्ट आउट जायना, जे लोक थंय रावतात तेंचो इशू जो पर्यंत त्या गांवांत जे शेतकरी आसा तेंचो इशू सॉर्ट आउट जायना तो पर्यंत हांगा टायगर जावंकच जायना आनी ते जालें जाल्यार थंयचे लोक जे आसा ते नेस्तवूच जातले.
Story by William Rodriguez for Herald TV.
Hanuman Jayanti was celebrated across Goa to commemorate the birth of Lord Hanuman. This year, the festival falls on April 16th. Hanuman was an ardent devotee of Lord Rama. The festival is celebrated on full moon day during the month of Chaitra. On this day, devotees of Lord Hanuman visit temples to worship him and offer him the bhog of bundi, laddu and pan among other things. Worshipping Lord Hanuman is said to protect people from evil and help emerge victorious. We bring you Hanuman Jayanti celebrations from Panjim and Mapsa.
Hanuman Jayanti, which commemorates the birth of Lord Hanuman, celebrated across Goa. This year, Hanuman Jayanti is celebrated on April 16th. Devotees of Lord Hanuman visit temples to worship him and offer him bhog of bundi, laddu and pan.
5:30 वाजता जन्म झाला आणि तसंच रीतिरिवाजाप्रमाणे सकाळी अभिषेक करून एका पायण्यान घालून सगळं मारुतीराय संस्थानाच्या सरभोवतणी सकाळी मिरवणूक पालखी काढलेली आसा त्याची आणि जल्माक घालून सगळे भाविकांक फुलपाखय घालून ब्राह्मणाच्या हातान तेजी रितीरिवाज करून ताचो जल्म साजरा केल्लो आसा. तशेंच आयज सकाळींचे सगळे भाविक येवन आपले आपले दर्शन घेतलेलें आसा. तसोच दनपारां 12:30 महाआरती आसा आनी महाप्रसाद आसा. सगळ्या भाविकां कडेन मागता सगळ्या महाप्रसाद लोकांनी लाभ घेवचो. तशेंच सांजचे 5:30 भजन आसतलें आनी 8:30 पालखी आसतली देवळा सरभोंवतणी. सगळ्या लोकां कडेन मागता की आयज हनुमान जयंती आनी वर्साचो महाप्रसाद 2,500-3,000 लोक हांगासर सगळ्या लोकांनी लाभ घेवचो आनी दनपारां महाप्रसाद जेवचो.
जपमार्तुल्यवेगं जितेन्द्रियं बुद्धिमतां वरिष्ठं वातात्मजं वानरयूथं श्रीरामदूतं शरणं प्रपद्ये. आज आणखी हनुमान जयंती चैत्र शुद्ध पौर्णिमा आणि आज जे केसरी आणि अंजनी माता यांच्या पोटी हनुमंताचो जो जन्म झाला तो सूर्योदयाक जन्म जाल्लो आसा आणि त्याप्रमाणे हांगा महारुद्र संस्थानतर्फे ही प्रतिवर्षी हनुमान जयंती साजरी केली जाता. जवळजवळ रामनवमीच्या आदल्या दिवसापासून उत्सव हांगा चालू जाता आणि तो हनुमान जयंतीच्या दुसऱ्या दिवसपर्यंत डोळ्यान चालू जाऊन त्याची सांगता जाता. त्याप्रमाणे ह्या दक्षिणमुखी मारुतीची जी काही परंपरा असा ती जवळजवळ 177 वर्षापर्यंतची परंपरा असा आणि त्या परंपरेनुसार आम्ही जो उत्सव साजरो करता तो उत्सव आज हनुमान जयंतीचो सकाळी सगळ्या भाविकांसहित महाजन भक्तमंडळी सहित हांगा उत्सव साजरो जाल्लो आसा. पालखी काडली वता आणि ती पालखी संपूर्ण नगर प्रदक्षिणा करून त्या उपरांत मागीर दारूकामाची आतषबाजी जावन ग्रामपंचायत हनुमान जयंतीचें जे काही नाटक आसता ते नाटक समोर थिएटरान चालू जावन आणि त्या नाटकाची संग जावन फाल्यां मागीर गवळण कालो इत्यादी हो उत्सव हांगा साजरो केलो जाता. त्याप्रमाणे आज आणखी हनुमान जयंतीच्या निमित्तानं त्याच्या उपरांत मागीर लघुरुद्र त्यानंतर महापूजा त्यानंतर इत्यादी जे काही पुराण बिराण जे धार्मिक कार्यक्रम असतात ते धार्मिक कार्यक्रमही साजरे जातात.
Story by Prakash Gadekar for Herald TV. Story by William Rodriguez for Herald TV.
Well, that's all we have in today's news bulletin. Thank you for watching Herald TV News. For more news alerts, please follow us on O Heraldo on Facebook and Twitter. Take care and goodbye.